So guys, this is the VW G12 Evo coolant, which is used in the modern day TSI engines, adding more coolant to fill up the reservoir. Activate this again. So this is how you bleed the air from the coolant system. Hello guys, and welcome back. Another day, another DIY that I am doing today on my Skoda Rapid. So today I am planning to change the coolant on my Skoda Rapid. I am doing a recharge instead of a flush. So usually in a flush you drain the coolant in the entire system multiple times using water or some chemicals as well. So instead what I am doing is I am just draining the coolant from both the radiators and the reservoir, and then I will fill the exact same quantity what comes out of both the radiators and the reservoir. So another reason for change is if you look at this VW OEM coolant, the G12 Evo coolant bottle that I have right now, and if you look back at the label, manufacture date is 26 July 2025 and the expiry date is 26 July 2028. That is exactly 3 years. So the shelf life of the coolant is already 3 years, and as we all know, shelf life is anyways higher than the service life. So the moment you put it in the system and it goes through multiple rigorous heat cycles, it is even less than 3 years. Now, what is Skoda or VW's recommendation on changing the coolant or the coolant lifetime? As everybody is aware, Skoda VW doesn't specify any coolant change, or it doesn't specify this coolant change as a maintenance item in the regular maintenance of the vehicle. They say that the coolant is lifetime, and it is. It's just that the lifetime, the meaning of lifetime changes depending on where you are running and how you are running the vehicle. So now, coming on to the process of changing the coolant, they say that to drain the coolant, you need to remove the hoses which are going on to the charger cooler radiator and the main radiator, drain the coolant from both, and then refill the same quantity that came out of both the radiators. So without wasting much time, let's move on to draining the coolant. So the very first step in draining the coolant is to ensure that your engine is cold, or the coolant temperature is as cold as possible. So if you can see on my dash, the coolant temperature being shown is 45 degrees, and this 45 degrees is, although it looks very high, but the coolant is, you can touch the coolant by hand. I would suggest to do this on a cold car when the car is standing overnight, and in the morning without starting, you should be doing this activity. So here if you can see, this is the main radiator, and let me show you down, and if you can see, there is a dividing line in between, and after that there is another radiator like thing, that is the charger cooler radiator or the intercooler radiator. So what I will be doing is, if you can see, there are two pipes that are coming out of the charger cooler radiator, right? So I will be using the second pipe to drain the coolant from the charger cooler radiator. So accessing this part is a bit difficult. So what I will do is, one of the hoses goes here, this part, this T, right, and this T joins to the charger cooler pump, right, this one. So I will remove the hose which is at the lower end of this T, and from there I will be draining the coolant for the charger cooler radiator. And for the main radiator, so for the main radiator I will be draining the coolant from that hose, the one where you see the clip. So this is the coolant I got 6 liters of premix coolant, the VW G12 Evo, and I had one bottle lying around for top up purposes. So I will be using this to fill the coolant in the car. So I will start by first releasing the pressure in the coolant system. So I will open the cap here. Again, make sure you don't do this on a hot car because the cap will be under, or the system will be under very much pressure, and the coolant can burn your hands and it can come out, right? So I just open the cap here. I will also be cleaning this coolant box, right? So you can see the color of the coolant right now, right? This is the secondary coolant pump, and this line comes from the charger cooler. So I will remove this line from here, so the charger cooler will get drained, and this is the lower radiator hose again, and I will open this as well to drain the coolant, right? So let me first open this up, right, and we'll drain from here. We'll keep a bucket here as well. Alright, as you can see, I have removed the hose. Some coolant is still draining from the charger cooler. So what I will do is, I will go up and pressurize the other end of the hose so that all the coolant which is trapped inside will come out. Okay. So if you see, we have drained the coolant from the outgoing hose. There, if you can see the left one, and now I will be pressurizing the other hose, this one which connects here, which will remove the additional coolant. So as you can see, this plug was hard to remove, so I removed the respective connector from the charger cooler, right? So if you pump here, all the coolant will go down and get removed from the charge cooler. So charger cooler radiator is done. Now we will move to the main radiator. Meanwhile, I have opened this clamp as well, and we'll be removing this and cleaning this up, right? And if you can see here, only a small amount of coolant is remaining. So guys, as you can see, that is the lower radiator hose through which the coolant goes from the radiator to the engine block, and we will need to remove the clamp on this lower radiator hose, as you can see, to unplug the hose from the radiator housing, and that is how we will drain the coolant from the radiator. So now, as you can see, I have drained the coolant from the radiator block as well after removing the lower radiator hose, and so this completes our coolant drain. Now I will be cleaning the reservoir and then we will refill the coolant back. So guys, now this is the coolant that came out of the charger cooler radiator, and if you see, this weighs around 1975 grams, considering 100 grams is the weight of the bottle. So this amounts to 1800 grams or 1800 ml, and this is the one that came out of the main radiator. I will pour this back. So guys, I have poured back the remaining coolant into the bottle, and as you can see, this weighs around 4 liters or 4000 grams. So approximately 1.9 liters is what came out of the main radiator, and similar quantity came out of the charger cooler radiator. So I will put in exactly 4 liters back into the system. I will not overfill the system. So let's get back to fill the coolant now. So I have cleaned up the reservoir. As you can see, this is much cleaner than before, and I will be putting it back up after cleaning the area where this sits, and then we will start filling the coolant. I had covered the pipes with these things so that these racks, so that nothing gets inside. So I have put up the coolant reservoir back after cleaning, I have not tightened up this hose. Rest all is done, right? And let us start filling the coolant now. So this is the original VW G12 Evo. You can get it outside easily, right? Please don't put any other in your 1 liter TSIs, since that is what they are made to run. So let me remove the coolant. A lot of mechanics, they show the seal. This comes with a normal seal here. So let me fill this. I'm not sure if you can hear this faint air escaping, right? So since we have removed the coolant and the uh, radiator system is usually under pressure, right? Um, so the air needs to be bled. Now a lot of people say a lot of different methods to bleed the air. Simplest one is put in the coolant, wiggle some hoses, and start the car, keep it running for some time, and they revet it, right? And once the car is hot, leave it to get cold completely, and then refill the coolant if you see the quantity is less. So we are going to follow the same, right? No fancy stuff. So right now, if you see here, the coolant mark is below minimum. I will fill again. So now if you can see, the coolant is not going below the max mark. So that means it's time to wiggle some hoses. So I just wiggled this hose. Okay, I will do it for the upper radiator hose as well, but it won't generate anything. So now we have two options here: start the car, and as and when the coolant level is dropping, we can continue to top up coolant. Or people who have access to VCDS and the OBDEleven or any other tool can do one trick. So in the OBD menu, you can actually run this secondary coolant pump, which is situated here, right? That pump from where the hoses are coming out. So that pump gets activated usually when the car is running at very frequent intervals. You can also run it from the VCDS or the OBDEleven interface. So since I have the OBDEleven, I will do that. So this is my OBDEleven device, right? It's not a requirement to do this. We can do this even without that. But since I have it, I just wanted to show you guys how these things operate. So first, you have to install the OBDEleven here in the OBD port, right? So this is the OBDEleven app. Let me open this up. So now on the OBDEleven app, you can see it says my car is already there, registered, right? And I have to first connect. So to connect, first I need to get to the ignition on stage, right? So let me turn on the ignition here. So ignition is on now, right? Now let me try to connect. This will take some time. It also needs internet connectivity. So now my OBDEleven is connected, right? And I can go to the. So now after being connected, I can go to control units, go to engine, and it will take a while to connect. Go to engine and then output test, and if you can see coolant pump, right? I click on coolant pump. So as seen here, it activates the coolant pump for a brief period of time, as mentioned there, brief actuation, right? So if I do that, this particular coolant pump here will activate. It will try to fill the charge air cooler radiator, which is here, right? So let me do that. You can also do this by starting the car, as simple as that. So if you can see, it says output test started. It is working right now. So see, some of the coolant went down here, right? So as you see here, the coolant is also returning from the return line. So one of the circuit is running now. You see, air is bleeding. This is how the air bleeding is done using VCDS. See this. Hear the noises inside. Okay, so the brief actuation is done. I will trigger it once again. Activate this again. And that is the air being bled from the return line. And if you see the level of the coolant, it has become minimum now. So I will do this activation for 2-3 more times and then fill up more coolant if needed. And then we'll start the car. So at this stage, let me add more coolant to it. And let me start this activation once again. So again, get started. Okay, so finally what I see is I have done it 4 times now. I don't see any other benefit of doing it more. And if you see, the coolant level is this right now, somewhere in the middle, right? This is the coolant now. So let me start the car now, and after starting we will be adding coolant as needed. Okay, I have started the car now, and you see the coolant return line has started actively getting the coolant back. That means the pump is active. Now let us wait for the car to gain some temperature. Right now the coolant temperature is 45 here, right? Let it rise. so the level is still the same. We'll wait for the level to dip. So guys, the car is now at 90 degrees, at least this is what it reports. So at that point in time, let us put this to heater, high mode. Yeah, let it run so that the heater circuit is also running. So guys, Skoda manual also says that once you have done draining and replenishing the coolant, you need to rev the engine between 1500 to 2000 rpm for a minute or two, right? That will actually rotate the water pump faster, and it will allow it to generate more vacuum pressure, and as a result the coolant will get circulated faster, right? So let us do that as well. Just before that, let me check the coolant level. So the coolant level, it's still at max, so let me rev the engine first. Let us check the coolant now. Oh, some of it came out here, if you can see, right? And I can feel some heat. The radiator fan has also started here. So guys, as I see, the coolant fan is running, but if I come here and press the lower and upper radiator hose, lower one is hot, the upper one is not. So probably the thermostat has still not opened. So let me rev it again for some time. Now both the radiator hoses are hot, and I also see that the heater is blowing hot air now. So around 1 more liter to go. So I took the car for a short spin outside, around 5 kilometers, and the engine temperature and the coolant temperature both came to 90 degrees, which is the optimum temperature. And after that, I let the car rest for around 2 to 3 hours, and now as you can see, the coolant level has come to a considerate level. And while on the way, I had poured in around 1 liter more of coolant. The coolant level has come down, so I had poured in 1 liter more, and which makes the entire coolant replenished. So I had taken out around 4 liters, and I have filled in around 4 liters, maybe 200 ml more than 4 liters. The reason for that 200 ml more was because I had opened the coolant reservoir cap initially when the car was hot, and because of that, some of the coolant due to the pressure came out and spilled over, which was around 200 ml. So I have filled in 200 ml extra apart from the 4 liters that we had taken out. So this completes our coolant drain and refill, the stage 1. Next stage will be done at the full service, or around 70k kilometers, when I will be changing the engine oil and the filters of the car. As you can see, this is the coolant that I extracted from the engine, right? You can see the color, and I have filled up 2 bottles. This one is the old coolant that was extracted from this jug, okay, and this is the brand new coolant from the sealed box, right? And if you can see the color, the difference in color in both the coolant, it is quite evident that the older coolant was really coming off the edge, right? If you can see the new coolant, brand new one is violet in color, not pink. This is a violet color, right? And this one is turning towards more pink, dulled pink, some orangish tone, right? So this definitely says that it was the right time to change the coolant. Also, what I've seen on the internet is that a lot of mechanics and people, they use chemical flushes to flush their coolant system even when everything is working fine, and they just need to replace the coolant. I would say don't use any chemical flushes. Just change your coolant from time to time, even before the scheduled maintenance period, so that you would never get into a situation where you will have to use the chemical flushes. Remember that coolant is not only there to cool the system, but it also acts as a lubricant to the water pump and the hoses. So change your coolant before time, and that will ensure that your car runs for a longer period of time. Thank you for watching, guys, and see you in the next video.